Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a massive, totally unsolved scientific whodunit surrounding Alaska's largest lake. We're talking about an 80-year-old mystery, highly credible witnesses, and a lake so extreme it literally challenges the limits of biological research. We're going to look closely at what the science actually says, the leading theories from marine biologists, and why the ultimate answer might be hiding right in front of us. Okay, let's jump right in by looking at the sheer terrifying scale of our crime scene. Lake Iliamna has a confirmed depth of 988 feet. It's this massive basin carved out by glaciers thousands of years ago. To put that number into perspective for you, that is deep enough to take a 30-story building, bury it completely, and still leave an astonishing 100 feet of pitch-black water sitting directly on top of it.
And we're not just talking about a deep puddle here. This is a body of water so unimaginably vast, it could swallow the entire state of Rhode Island and still have room to spare. So it really begs the ultimate question, doesn't it? What could possibly be hiding beneath over 900 feet of black glacial water? Because for nearly a century, the folks living on its shores have insisted that something is living down there that science has never been able to name.
Now this is absolutely crucial, because it proves we aren't just talking about local myths. We're looking at a scientifically unique ecosystem. See, Lake Iliamna connects directly to the Pacific Ocean through the Quichik River. Because of this, it hosts the largest sockeye salmon run on the planet. We're talking tens of millions of fish pouring in every single summer. But actually, think about that last point. This lake is home to one of only 5 known freshwater harbor seal populations on Earth. Actual, documented ocean seals living and breeding hundreds of miles from saltwater, just because their ancestors swam up that river and decided to stay. If we know for a fact that ocean animals can make that journey and thrive in this lake, what else might have followed them? Section 1. The Witnesses. Track incredible encounters over time. When we look into reports of something massive in this lake, we aren't dealing with anonymous internet claims. We are looking at highly credible, on-the-record Alaskans. You see, this mystery builds over decades. Long before any written records, indigenous peoples like the Dena'ina, Yupik, Alutiiq, and Tlingit had already identified something dangerous down in the depths. Then, in 1942, the modern record kicks off when a highly respected bush pilot named Babe Ellsworth spots a massive, dark shape moving underwater. And remember, this is a pilot whose literal survival depended on reading terrain accurately. By 1959, Sports Afield documented a steel cable line rated for heavy gear being snapped clean like a piece of string. And jump forward to 2017, retired Alaska National Guard Colonel Mark Steiger had his 200-foot baited longline completely broken off by something incredibly powerful. These are sober, consistent testimonies from people who have absolutely nothing to gain by making this up. This wasn't some campfire story invented for entertainment. The rule was absolute. If the water moves strangely, you don't investigate, you leave. The Aleut and Yupik spoke of the Jigik Nak and the Tlingit of the Gona Cadet. The elders taught strict survival rules around these group-hunting predators. Passing down this kind of instruction is generational knowledge. It's taught exactly the same way you teach a child which berries are poisonous. It's passed down because somewhere, someone didn't leave in time. Section 2. Why proof remains hidden. The unforgiving environment. Now, with all these credible witnesses spanning a century, you might logically ask, okay, so where's the definitive proof? Well, let's explore exactly why a 1,000-square-mile lake makes gathering scientific evidence incredibly difficult. The brutal reality of this environment is that there are virtually no roads out to this lake. You can basically only get there by fly-in floatplane or boat. And while the surface water is crystal clear, it turns pitch black and nutrient-rich the deeper you go. Plus, for a body of water this massive, human presence is incredibly limited outside of the brief summer salmon season. It is simply one of the hardest bodies of water on the continent to search. You literally cannot photograph what almost nobody is around to look at. And just to prove how seriously people took this mystery, get this. In 1979, the Anchorage Daily News, one of the state's most credible papers, put real money on the table. They offered a $100,000 reward for definitive proof of the Iliamna Lake monster. Adjusted for inflation, we are talking about roughly $500,000 today. And guess what? That massive reward sat completely unclaimed for decades.
Section 3. Sharks versus massive sturgeon, the prime suspects. We're going to set aside the sea serpents and dinosaurs for a minute to look at the leading, biologically grounded theories from credentialed experts about what might actually be tearing apart steel cables in Lake Iliamna.
The leading scientific theory actually comes from marine biologist Bruce Wright, formerly with the National Marine Fisheries Service. He proposes the predator is the Pacific sleeper shark. This is a real, documented, deep-water oceanic predator, and they are perfectly built for this lake. They absolutely thrive in cold, dark, oxygen-rich environments. They can live past 300 years, and they grow up to 23 feet long. Honestly, you don't need a supernatural monster when a 23-foot, deep-water shark perfectly explains snapped long lines and massive dark shapes in the water.
Now, when we compare Wright's shark theory with the other major biological suspects side by side, it gets really interesting. The Pacific sleeper shark could easily follow the salmon up the river, thrive in those cold depths, and snap heavy gear. On the flip side, some researchers argue for the massive white sturgeon. White sturgeon are genuine freshwater giants. They're heavily armored, can live over a century, and easily reach 20 feet in length. The catch? While sturgeon fit the physical description perfectly, not a single one has ever been officially documented in Lake Iliamna.
And, of course, we also have to consider a highly grounded third theory. We already established that Iliamna has a confirmed population of freshwater harbor seals. These animals are strong, fast, they have sharp teeth, and they can weigh close to 200 pounds. So some scientists suggest that witnesses, who, let's face it, are already primed to expect a monster, are simply misidentifying full-grown, startled harbor seals surfacing in the low light.
But despite Bruce Wright spending years setting out baited camera rigs and collecting water samples, here is the honest, kind of unglamorous truth. As of right now, no expedition has captured a confirmed photograph. In all these decades, not a single carcass has ever washed ashore. And most tellingly, tests conducted with the U.S. Geological Survey looking for genetic traces of an unknown species have turned up zero definitive DNA. So, from a purely scientific standpoint, the case is still wide open.
Section 4, a ticking ecological clock, the closing window for research. Now we need to address a critical factor that makes solving this case incredibly urgent. We are literally racing against a ticking ecological clock. Alaska is warming faster than almost anywhere else on the planet. And the reason why this matters so deeply for our explainer today is that the very environment that makes Lake Iliamna the perfect hiding spot is being actively threatened. We're basically facing a step-by-step ecological urgency. First, surface and deep water temperatures begin to rise. Because of that, step 2 occurs. The cold, oxygen-rich deep water habitats that a predator like a sleeper shark would completely depend on begin to alter. Which naturally leads us to step 3. If something genuinely unclassified is living down there, our window of opportunity to find it is rapidly closing. The years ahead might literally be our last real chance to uncover the truth before the habitat changes forever.
Which leaves us with this final lingering thought. Knowing the confirmed facts, the actual ocean seals living there, the unimpeachable witnesses, the $100,000 unclaimed reward, and the very real biology of the Pacific sleeper shark, what do you take away from this? Is marine biologist Bruce Wright closer to the truth than anyone realizes? Or is Lake Iliamna simply too massive, too freezing, and too empty of human eyes to ever give up its greatest secret? I highly encourage you to look at the data we've covered today and weigh the evidence for yourself.